Have you ever looked at a banana and thought, that's radioactive? Well, it is. But don't worry, you can keep enjoying them in your cereal. Bananas are full of an element called potassium, and a tiny, tiny fraction of that potassium is a special kind called potassium-40, which is naturally radioactive. This means it slowly releases minuscule amounts of energy over time. You would need to eat millions of bananas in one sitting to feel any ill effects. It's a fantastic example of a hidden scientific truth hiding in plain sight, right there in your fruit bowl. This little bit of science isn't scary. It's just a reminder that the world is buzzing with invisible processes. This natural radiation is all around us, in the soil, in the air, and even in our own bodies. The amount from a banana is so small it's considered background radiation, a normal part of living on planet Earth. So what is all this stuff made of anyway? Your chair, the air you're breathing, that banana, it all comes down to atoms. Atoms are the basic building blocks of everything. Think of them like incredibly tiny, microscopic Lego bricks. There are many different kinds of atoms, which we call elements, like oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and that potassium we talked about. The number of atoms in a single grain of sand is larger than the number of grains of sand on a huge beach. It's a mind-bogglingly huge number, which shows you just how small atoms really are. Now, atoms rarely like to be alone. They love to team up and hold hands with other atoms. When two or more atoms bond together, they form a molecule. A molecule of water, for example, is made of two hydrogen atoms bonded to one oxygen atom. That's why its chemical formula is H2O. Let's talk more about water. You see it every day, you drink it, you bathe in it. It seems so simple, right? But water is one of the strangest and most amazing molecules in the universe. Here's a secret. Most substances get denser when they freeze. They shrink and become more compact, but not water. When water freezes into ice, it actually expands and becomes less dense. This is why ice cubes float in your drink and why icebergs float in the ocean. This weird floating ice trick is incredibly important for life on Earth. Because ice floats, it forms a protective, insulating layer on the surface of the water, allowing aquatic life to survive the winter. Here's another water secret. It's incredibly sticky. Water molecules are very attracted to each other, a property called cohesion. You can see this when you see a droplet of water on a leaf. It pulls itself into a nice, tidy bead. This combination of cohesion and adhesion is what allows trees to pull water all the way from their roots up to their highest leaves, defying gravity. Great discoveries in science don't always happen on purpose. Sometimes they are happy accidents. In 1938, a chemist named Roy J. Plunkett was working for the DuPont Company. He had stored a tank of a gas called tetrafluoroethylene, or TFE for short, in a freezer. One day, he came into the lab and opened the valve on the gas tank, but nothing came out. This was very strange. Being a good, curious scientist, Dr. Plunkett decided to investigate further instead of just throwing the tank away. He sawed the metal tank open, which is not something you should ever try at home. Inside, he didn't find gas. Instead, he found a strange, waxy white powder that was incredibly slippery to the touch. At first, nobody knew what to do with this bizarre new substance. It was one of the most slippery materials anyone had ever seen. It was also resistant to heat, acid, and just about everything else they tried to test it with. It wasn't until many years later that an engineer in France had the brilliant idea to try coating a fishing line with it. His wife then suggested trying it on her cooking pans to stop food from sticking. And in 1954, the first Teflon non-stick pan was created. You don't need a lab coat and safety goggles to be a chemist. You just need to step into your kitchen. Cooking is chemistry you can eat. Think about baking a loaf of bread. The yeast is a living organism that eats the sugar and, through fermentation, releases bubbles of carbon dioxide gas. These gas bubbles get trapped in the gluten network, which makes the bread rise. Now, let's look at the Maillard reaction. That's the fancy scientific name for the delicious browning that happens when you cook many foods. It's responsible for the golden brown crust on bread, the sear on a steak, and the crispy skin on a roast chicken. This reaction happens when amino acids and certain sugars are heated together. They react to form hundreds of new flavor and aroma molecules. So that amazing smell of baking cookies? That's the Maillard reaction at work. Even making a vinaigrette salad dressing is a chemistry lesson. Oil and vinegar don't mix because water-based liquids are polar, while oil is nonpolar. To get them to mix, you need an emulsifier like mustard or egg yolk. Cleaning up is also chemistry. Soap molecules have a head attracted to water and a tail attracted to grease. When you wash, the soap tails grab the grease and the water pulls it all away. Ready to see some chemistry in action? Let's start by making some secret spy messages with invisible ink. All you need is a lemon, some water, a cotton swab, and a piece of paper. Squeeze the lemon juice, mix with water, write your secret message, and let it dry. To reveal it, have a grown-up help you hold the paper close to a warm light bulb. Lemon juice is a weak acid. When you write with it, the acid slightly weakens the paper's fibers. When you heat the paper, the acidic parts oxidize and turn brown much faster than the rest of the paper. This chemical reaction makes your secret message appear as if by magic. Just be very careful with the heat source. Now, for something with a little more fizz. A classic baking soda and vinegar volcano. Make a volcano shape, put baking soda inside, and prepare colored vinegar. When you pour the vinegar into the volcano, watch it foam and fizz. This is an acid-base reaction. Vinegar and baking soda react to form carbonic acid, which immediately breaks down into water and carbon dioxide gas. Let's dig into the world of metals. One of the most beautiful secrets of metals is revealed in a fireworks display. The brilliant colors are all created by adding different metal salts to the explosive mixture. When heated to high temperatures, metal atoms get excited and release energy as light. Each metal releases a very specific color. Strontium creates red, barium makes green, copper creates blue, and sodium burns yellow-orange. Another fascinating secret involves copper. The Statue of Liberty isn't shiny reddish-brown like a new penny, it's green. This green coating is called a patina, and it's the result of a slow chemical reaction. Over many years, copper reacts with oxygen, water, and carbon dioxide in the air. This green patina forms a protective layer that stops further corrosion. The chemistry of the metal creates its own shield against the elements. Chemistry isn't just in laboratories, it's happening inside you all the time. Think about breathing. You pull in oxygen molecules, which are transferred to your blood and carried by hemoglobin to every cell in your body. Your cells use that oxygen in a chemical reaction called respiration to release energy from food. Then you exhale carbon dioxide, a waste product. Breathing is pure chemistry. The device you're watching this on is a marvel of chemistry. The screen uses liquid crystals, or organic molecules that glow. The battery is a self-contained chemical reaction converting chemical energy to electrical energy. Chemistry allows us to understand distant stars. When astronomers analyze starlight through a spectroscope, they can tell that the sun is made mostly of hydrogen and helium, even though it's 93 million miles away. We've journeyed from radioactive bananas to the stars, from your kitchen sink to the Statue of Liberty. We've seen that chemistry is not just a subject in a textbook, it's a dynamic, exciting, and essential part of our world. The universe is a grand and fascinating place, and chemistry provides us with a powerful lens to see it more clearly. It reveals the secret handshakes between atoms that create the world we know and love. The best part is, you don't need anyone's permission to start exploring it. You just need to stay curious. So, I invite you to look at the world with the eyes of a chemist. The next time you see rust on a fence, think about the dance between iron and oxygen. When you watch rain slide down a window, think about water molecules. Ask questions. Why does soda fizz? How does glue work? Why do leaves change color? You have the most powerful scientific instrument in the known universe right on top of your shoulders, your brain. Use it to observe, to wonder, and to make connections. You don't have to have all the answers. The most important part of science is asking the questions. Every great discovery in chemistry started with someone asking, why? Or what if? That spirit of inquiry is something we all share. It's what drives us to learn, to explore, and to make the world a better place. So go on, be a scientist, be an explorer. Notice the world around you. Read, experiment safely, and never ever stop asking questions. The world is your laboratory, and it's full of secrets just waiting to be revealed. By understanding chemistry, you can understand the incredible, interconnected, and awe-inspiring universe we all get to call home. Change the world.